Welcome to the stage, co-founder of Dante's Hi-Fi and seasoned creative executive, Arturo Nuñez.
What up, Seven? How we doing? You guys having a great day? My day has been so energizing and so inspiring, and it's only gonna get better. We got a long night. Hydrate. Do me a favor, Summit. Allow me or help me to welcome Rich Medina, Stretch Armstrong, and Just Blaze. Music industry icons in the building. What up, bro? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's get it. Peace. My guy. Ooh, check. All right. Yo, so I feel extremely privileged to be able to sit on stage with these three individuals who have meant so much to music.
Hello.
Got it? And not only, did I spend my formative years listening to their craft, but trying to get into their parties, sometimes unsuccessfully, all over the country and all over the world. So I'm really excited to be up here with these guys. And what we're gonna do, gentlemen, is a little bit like This Is Your Life. I'm gonna show you some things and maybe it'll spark some reactions. Let me know what you think. So let's get into it. You ready? Let's get it done. All right. Rich Medina, tell me about this kid right here. What did that kid think he was going to be? Did he ever imagine that his chosen profession would take him all over the world, inspiring people and educating and entertaining people everywhere?
Yup. First of all, this is 86. I was a sophomore in high school, 16. My waves was laying down crazy. Waves bubbling like the Atlantic. You see it. I was on my way to, Colgate Smile. Brace game bubbling. Cazals. B-boy shit all day.
Classic Cazals.
Yeah. Was doing pretty good in school. Was playing some pretty decent basketball. My boogie game was crazy. And I was playing all the middle school parties around my way. And I had just bought 2 Electro Voice speaker boxes from a gentleman by the name of Mr. Scott. He was our science teacher, 11th grade science teacher in our high school. He used to do all of our parties. That's a Villanova starter jacket. I was crushing shit. I had the Uptowns with the powder blue stripes, smashing on them. Yeah, I knew somewhere down the line that dude was gonna make some kind of noise.
Did you know already that you were gonna choose music or no?
Music had chose me 10 years prior to that.
Wow.
So It was never, you know what I mean?
It wasn't a
some
backup plan.
shit I had to whoa, what a revelation. I think I want to do music. It didn't go that way. It was all over me from my elders.
Wow. Beautiful. Similar question, Mr. Stretch. Tell me about this guy. You said don't go past 80s.
Wow. Yeah, well, I'm just happy that the photo's not from the 90s because I looked bonkers back then. Whoa. Yeah, that's me and my elementary school friend, Richard Lewis. Obviously not the Richard Lewis that just passed away from Curb Your Enthusiasm and other things. This is when I attended the Manhattan Country School on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. Does anyone know about Manhattan Country School? Yeah. Gina, you know about it. Maybe the only person. Anyway, what do you want to know about this picture?
Yeah,
there's so much I could talk about.
Did you get the music bug yet? Did you thought you were going to play tennis?
Let's see. My parents were pretty much just classical music heads. My dad, to this day, has a encyclopedic knowledge of classical music, but he also liked, and my mother liked, the Beatles. My mom came from Poland, where the Beatles had a very sort of revolutionary cultural impact. And the Beatle records were the ones that I just started listening to at, probably age 3. And it started an obsession with music. At age 4, with my allowance, I bought Fleetwood Mac Rumors and Elton John Greatest Hits 1. I started playing the drums at age 5 and was just kind of music obsessed. And then because of my experience at Manhattan Country School, I went to school with a lot of Latino and black kids. And their older brothers and sisters were getting into hip hop. And I remember one day specifically, all the kids that weren't white were rapping Rapper's Delight. It was like one day, I guess that weekend the record had just crossed over to like all the generations, and on Monday, everyone was hip hop, and we were like, what the heck? This is so cool, but like, what's going on? And that following weekend, I mean, this is so funny. Like, I bought Rapper's Delight on 12-inch from Long Island Sounds in Southampton, Long Island. Yeah, this is all very like, what is going on? And that was like my initiation into the world of like disco and rap 12 inches. I also had an older sister who would always have, I think it was WABC on, and they played a lot of disco. And being a girl, she was more mature than I was, and she was just introducing me to all kinds of incredible music, all the Casablanca disco records and whatnot, and kind of from that moment on, I just had this love affair with disco, R&B, and early hip hop.
When did reggae come in? Because a lot of your sets feature a lot of reggae tunes. When did that happen to you?
Yeah, there was a cat that was in my sister's class the year above me at Manhattan Country School. His name was Zulu Williams. He was a graph writer. He wrote Surge, and he was actually the founder of PNB Nation, and like a really formative streetwear brand. And he would talk about reggae, and I don't know what the hell he was talking about. And I would act like I knew what he was, oh yeah, I know about that, but I was like, I don't know what this guy's talking about. That same year, I went to see the Police in New Jersey at the Brendan Byrne Arena. And I was just talking about this morning because I had all these incredible formative experiences going to concerts, but I don't remember how I got to these concerts and why I was like 12 and 13 years old being allowed to go see like The Clash on the Pier or the Police in New Jersey. And I asked my parents, right when I had a daughter, I started thinking about how I'm going to raise my daughter, and
you have that freedom.
So I said to my parents, like, how did I end up at the Clash on the Pier in 1982? They said, well, you really love that band. We bought you a ticket and we dropped you off. And side note, Curtis Blow and AJ Scratch opened for the Clash that night. So that was the first time I saw a DJ live, which fucked my head up. So my dad said, yeah, we dropped you off, and then we stayed in the car, and we watched the people coming in for a half an hour, and we wondered if we had just made the biggest mistake of our lives. And of course they hadn't. They made one of the best decisions of their lives. Because
thought you weren't coming out.
Yeah, I mean, and I had an incredible night. There was I was in this little pocket protected by all these older people who sensed that, oh, this kid is 12, 13, you're good. And despite the motley crew of ragtag punks and weirdos that were walking by my parents' car.
It's amazing, amazing. Just, I don't got the kid photo, but I do got this though. Tell me about this guy. Tell me about that.
He just blew us all up.
And what was it like to work with that version of Kanye West?
It was cool. Thanks.
Next question?
Yeah, next question, please.
Real for real.
Yeah, it was cool.
Rich, I know you're multifaceted, but is that you yoking it on Rick Fox right there?
Yeah, that's me catching a two-piece with no napkins on Rick Fox and Hubert Davis.
Oof.
That was my sophomore year at Cornell. Clearly, we got blown the fuck out of our own gym. I think they won by like 2,000. But that game was honestly probably one of the best nights of my athletic career. I had 19 points, 7 to 8 rebounds. We got crushed. Like it was fucking disgusting. North Carolina. Well, for any non-basketball people, I played basketball at Cornell University. Even though we were an Ivy League school, is Division I basketball, and every year, sports reporters would do a strength of schedule report. And we were always ranked in the top 25 in the country in terms of strength of schedule, meaning we played Clemson, Auburn, Stanford, Syracuse, we'd kick our teeth in twice a fucking year. It's disgusting. But at the end of that game, we got blown at home, but the crowd stayed because it's fucking North Carolina. Everybody wants to get close to Rick Fox,
Sure.
King Rice, or whoever at the time. And it was a really moving day because at the end of that game, you walk down the line and shake hands after the game, sportsmanship, whatever. And shook Dean Smith's hand, and Dean Smith, the coach of North Carolina, legendary college basketball coach, he was like, "You can play the game, son."
Oh, shit.
And he shook my hand.
Wow, from the legend.
When we got to the showers after we got cussed out for getting blown, I took a shower with my hand up above my head. I don't think I washed that hand like 2 fucking weeks. Maybe some of this North Carolina shit will rub off on me. I might fuck around, catch a 10-day contract somewhere or some shit.
Yo, did you still have hoop dreams?
Still?
No, then. Did you still have hoop dreams?
Oh, yeah, I mean,
maybe I got a shot.
I was a sophomore. I was playing well. I was honorable mention All Ivy my freshman year. I started my sophomore year. I was averaging about 13, 14 a game. I was putting the ball in the hole. But I was also always very keenly aware that I was an undersized forward.
Got it.
So it was at this point in my basketball career where I realized I had to get my handle together or I wasn't going to play much anymore
further,
because right. I'm 6'6", a $195 with a brick in my pocket. And I'm posting up against dudes that outweigh me by 20 pounds.
Right.
3 more years experience getting fucking ragdolled in the paint all day. So I had to get my handle together. I was going to sit. So yeah, absolutely. I'm 54. I got hoop dreams tonight. I just had a fucking hoop dream 6 minutes ago.
I love it. All right, let's go here. How did you find yourself there, sir, on the Arsenio Hall show?
Wow. Yeah, I'm biting my lower lip, really feeling it. That was, I sat in with the Arsenio Hall show. I don't know what year that was. That may have been 92. A publicist friend of mine, Shelby Mead, had been contacted by the talent coordinator for the show, and like, we need a DJ to sit in with the band, and she recommended me, which was wild. Bobbito came out with me. I have photos from that day of us in the back of the limousine, like going to Arsenio Hall. And Arsenio Hall back then was like that was the
dude. He was that dude. Yeah,
that was huge. And yeah, they didn't provide that plaque with my name on it. A friend of mine who actually was the head designer at Fat Farm. I was like, "Yo, you're doing TV? Hold on, we gotta do you right." So he printed that out, and I showed up with that like my own roadie. And it was. But really, it's kind of like a. I think one of the things I'm most proud about in my whole career is the platform that I've given to so many, that me and Bob gave to so many artists, and true to that, on that night. Fat Joe, who was a new signee to Relativity Records, was not famous, was not known. He happened to be in town that night doing a promo run, going to college and community radio stations, not commercial stations.
Oh, wow.
He had a single out called Flojo, produced by the Beatnuts, which sounds pretty prehistoric today. It's lyrically has not aged well. Maybe Fat Joe may have been the most improved lyricist in terms of his whole trajectory. So I invited Joe to the show, and he was in the audience, just chilling. And backstage, Arsenio checked in on me. He's like, "Yo, you good?" I was like, "Yeah, listen, there's an artist from New York named Fat Joe. He's getting some play on mix shows and whatnot." And to Arsenio's credit, he did his research right then and there.
Spot.
Had the band learn the sample melody, and without anybody knowing, he was like on TV, national TV, Arsenio Hall. He was like, "Yo, we got Fat Joe in the house from New York."
Oh,
Joe was
shit.
like, he was like, "Yo, Joe, come on up." Joe comes up, they start playing the beat, and he starts doing the lyrics like he was booked to be on live TV. Joe was known as the gangster. He was so not gangster that night. His smile was like from New York to LA. His was like, and later that night, he was staying at a hotel near mine. I went to go see him, and he'd been drinking with his boys. Like, he was elated. Like, his whole life changed that day, and really thanked me for it. I'm in the hotel room. He's drinking. He's like, "Stretch, have a drink." I'm like, "No, I'm good. I gotta go." He's like, "Nah, you can't leave. You gotta celebrate." I kid you not. 5 minutes later, I'm in the hallway trying to get away, and Fat Joe is on the carpet, on his hands and knees, grabbing my leg so I won't leave. Wow. Like, "You gotta stay, man." Wow. I'm like, "Joe, come on, I gotta go. I gotta go." And that was. And then Joe went back to the projects. He quit the tour, came back to the Bronx, and was like walking around like this, no more smile,
wow.
just mugging, and. That was that night, yeah.
That's a dope story. Love that. Love that. Thank you for that. All right, Just, I'm going to try again. You remember this?
Of course.
Yeah. The music is about community, right? What was it like to be with the presence of all those guys, all those greats that are there right now? What was that vibe about?
The greatest thing about that night, well, first of all, so this was something that me and Hove and Goo had been talking about doing for years, which was, he's got so many #1 records. But we always wanted to do a show called The B-Sides, which would have just been like, you had the records that get played on the radio constantly, but then you have the other records that just people love, right? And we had been trying to do a show based around that for years. And it took probably about 10 years to make it happen, but we eventually did. And this was also the first time that a lot of us had seen each other in a very long time. It was an amazing night, man. I could go on about it forever. I'm not going to. These guys are much more eloquent than I am. But yeah, that was a great night. It was great. It was an amazing
Love it,
night.
man. What a great picture, too. What a great picture.
Where was, I think this was at Terminal 5, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Terminal 5 in New York City, yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. What a great picture. All right. You was modeling too, Rich? Word? 555 Soul?
Word to the wise. Pick your fucking friends wisely.
These are all.
Talk to me. Talk to me.
Oh, wait, what?
Yo, Bobbito looks crazy.
I just caught Bob at the corner.
So, it is indeed hilarious to think that my funny looking ass is in a modeling thing. But what this ad, the young lady to my right is Camilla Elke. Camilla Elke is the owner of another streetwear brand that essentially set the tempo for what streetwear is, which is a brand called 555 Soul. So this was a 555 Soul ad. I believe it was in Stress magazine, maybe one of those at that time. This has got to be 97, 98. It was paper. Oh, there it is on the top. Yeah, Paper magazine. And yeah, we have been doing a lot of work with Camilla. And
You had modeling
he
aspirations?
was like, yo, you mad tall. That's one model qualification you got. You like, come the fuck off. Yo, Bob, that's your man, right? Nah, that's not. But yeah, that was, aside from my work with Echo Unlimited, I went to high school with Mark Milakovsky, who you know as Mark Echo.
Echo.
Our mothers still speak to each other to this day. Mark and Marcy Milakovsky were the head of the pep squad in my high school, the basketball pep squad. So I had done some fashion work with Mark and some artwork over the years as a model and as a DJ. And I was doing the same thing with Camilla, kind of scaled down. I was actually Stretch and Bob with my full-blown introduction to Camilla, and then our own friendship developed from there. And this was an opportunity that came my way through being connected to connected guys.
Sure.
Straight up and down. This is a testament to the length of our friendship and the time that we spent next to each other in the industry.
Okay, it's not the cover of GQ, so
No, it's
just like,
it's the fucking Grammys for me.
Paper was relevant, for sure, for sure. All right, let's do this. Stretch, I believe this is the first time you played Latin America, man. What was it like for you to see the culture go broad? You see yourself right there?
I believe that's the south of France.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I was told Latin America.
No, that's Cannes.
Okay, okay. Tell me about
It's like
that.
the Latin America of Europe. Okay.
Same question. The vibe goes global. What does it feel like?
What's that?
What does it feel like to be,
Oh, I mean, that's
with a global
like,
crowd?
that's what you live for, like as a DJ, like when the night just goes off and everything is just kind of flowing and, yeah, I mean, I don't know. What can I say about that?
All good, all good. What about that, Just? What was it like to work with that icon?
Amazing. I mean, you one of the things that I always say is you don't know that you're making history when you're in the process, right? It's always retroactive. You look back and you're like, damn, we did that, and at such a relatively young age. For me, it was one of those things where I never actually thought I was ready.
Was that like imposter syndrome or something, or you were like?
Yeah, no, definitely. There's so many times where I just thought like I wasn't supposed to be here, but there I was, right? And somehow it all ended up working out. And you fast forward 20 years later, and I'm here, or 25 years later, and I'm here talking about it. But definitely a little bit of imposter syndrome for sure, which I think is something a lot of us creatives can identify with. We spend so much time just trying to get there, not realizing we're already there.
Right. Love that sentiment. I'm gonna stay in that lane right there and ask you, Stretch, what was it like for you to be in that moment?
We were doing a little bit of a salsa number here. Jay's really into ballroom dancing. I don't know if could be the foxtrot. I'm not really sure. Yeah, that's.
That's a scene from Radio Save.
I was actually asking him if I could borrow the Basquiat for a week, but
was that in Jay's house?
no, that was at the Tidal offices.
Okay.
Yeah, so Bob and I, we made a documentary about ourselves because no one else would. So
if you haven't seen it, go see that right away.
what's that?
If you haven't seen it, you need to see
It's called Stretch and Bobbito Radio That Changed Lives. It was on Showtime and Netflix, and now it's just on your little computer screen. So when we ventured to do that movie, Bob, who had just directed a basketball documentary, an amazing movie, we kind of divided up our roles. It was like, Bob, you're gonna direct, because if we co-direct, it'll take too long, and I'll do the music. And my relationships with a lot of the superstar artists that came through our doors were a little bit more up to date than Bob's, because I was in clubs and I was out, whereas Bob was doing Bob things. And Bob one day was like, "Yo, I think the film is done." He was so keen on wrapping it so that we could show it in Central Park during Summer Stage to coincide with our 25th anniversary of our first show. And at that point, like, we didn't have any of the superstars in the movie, and I'm like, "Bob, we got to get these guys in the film. Like, you can't have. We need one of them." And we had none of them. So I went to Coachella in 2000, and I'm not sure if it was maybe 2014, 2013. And I knew Jay was going to be there. And I went there. I was hooked up by my homegirl, Karen Veazey. She was managing Pharrell. She was like, "Just come to Coachella. I'll give you the credentials. I'll give you a suite in the hotel. You're good. Just get out here." So I got out there, and I was like, "I got to find Jay. I got to talk to him face to face, because dealing with in betweens, it's not going to happen."
Sure.
So I go to the backstage area where all the trailers are under the palm trees, and I'm looking and I see Jay, and I'm like, "Oh shit. He's with Nas right now." Like, Jay and Nas were standing there talking together. I was like, "This is incredible."
2 for 1.
So I was like, "Doot, doot, doot, doot." And I was like, "What's up, guys?" And both of them were like, "What's up?" And I was like, "Oh, fuck." They're competing with each other, right? They're like being like extra cool. Like, no one wants to like be happy and smiley that Stretch showed up. I was like, "All right, this is going to be harder than I thought it was going to be." But, I told them what we were doing, and both of them were like, yeah, cool. That's what's up. Well, yeah, cool. It took 1.5 years to get both of them. But I'll say this, and it took 1.5 years. It took so long because you're dealing with the in-betweens.
Yeah.
And I mean, I saw Nas at like 3 events. One was like a Grammy thing, and he was like, "Yo, you still need me?" I was like, "Dog, like, I can't leave more messages." Like, we had a whole team working on that. You still me? I was like, "Come on." I was like, "Dude." So eventually, we set the time with Jay. We go to the offices, and his assistant was like, "Jay will give you 20 minutes, so like, make it snappy." We sat with him for like 2 hours, and he had look at his face there. That's crazy. Real. Like, we had an incredible time just kicking it and reminiscing. And
even the piece that ended up in the trailer was super dope, where he takes off the headphones.
Yeah, we would hand artists a Walkman with a cassette separately, not in the Walkman. And we had a great time watching artists trying to figure out how to put a tape in an old Walkman. And I got to tell you, either Jay's listening to Walkman at home on a regular basis, or he's just like, I think what it is, he's just like a super smart dude. But like, he was like, "Oh yeah, yeah." And Nas was like, "What is this?" But both of them gave us, Nas gave us an afternoon, and we had an incredible time reminiscing with these guys. And
it really is an incredible movie. If you haven't seen it, you do yourself a favor, seriously. It's an amazing movie. So great that you guys got that off. So a lot of what we've talked about has been about Bobbito Garcia, who's one of my brothers, and I know y'all are all mad connected to Bob. And Bob shared that picture with me, Rich. You can see what it says on the bottom right there. Can you talk a little bit about that man's impact on your life and your relationship with Cool Bob Love?
Yeah. My sophomore year at Cornell, a gentleman by the name of Mike Parker came to Cornell as a freshman, and he was our point guard. Mike Parker grew up in Douglas Projects in New York City with Bobbito. So one of Mike's first visits after basketball practice, we go back to the apartment. This big ass, like a Sprinter or like an old ass A-Team van pulled up. And in that A-Team van is Curious George, Psycho Les, Stretch Armstrong, Bobbito Garcia, and Lord Sear. Mike walks these guys around, a bunch of basketball players living together. Mike walks these guys around the apartment. I'm one of the last guys they meet. They come to my room. I got 10 pairs of kicks, bunch of mixtapes, probably a couple of albums on the side. You know, Bobbito's like, yo, you play basketball here? You sell the weed. And I'll never forget, it was also the first day I met Stretch on campus at Cornell, of all fucking places. I end up meeting Stretch and Bob, who I'm already enamored with as a b-boy, record collector, kid of hip-hop culture. Stretch had on a pair of green corduroy Zodiac shoes.
Oh, shit.
He had a portable...
Is that good or bad?
It's great. This is the Jabot days. This is Mars days, pre-Mars days. He had a talk about Walkmans. You had a portable DAT player. And my fucking wig was just like... How does this guy have a portable DAT player? And then I don't know this is 90, 91, so I don't remember what records or artists you were getting ready to break, but I remember sitting Indian style on the floor in my room, and you're like passing this DAT around to each of us with the headphones on. And from that weekend forward, Bob became my best friend. When I was doing my internships in New York City in the summer, that was how I went from playing AAU basketball in Jersey and getting a chance to play against Riverside Church and Gauchos and all of that in New York. But now, as a collegiate athlete, now I'm playing in the Rucker, Dykeman, Masaryk Towers, Tillery, Pro City, all the heavy-duty New York City
Best of the best.
Tournament circuits. My introduction to that space was through Bob. Me getting a nickname on the basketball court in New York City was through Bob.
What was that?
Live at the barbecue, because I'll cook your ass.
I love it.
But yeah, from that day forward, you know, Bob has been my homeboy. He's been my consigliere. He's been my voice of reason. He has helped me make some of the most important decisions I've made as an adult. And without Bobbito Garcia and Stretch and all the brothers, just included, who I became personal with through that connection, they gave me a space to express myself and really step away from basketball, step away from academics, and fall into where I'm really supposed to be.
Yeah. What an incredible human being Bobbito Garcia is, man. And I am always humbled by his integrity as a human being, you know what I'm saying? Like, talk about a dude that's like, his word is his bond. Like, that's Bobbito Garcia, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, DJ Straight and Narrow. That's Bob's other
100%.
name. Like, to this day, I think Bob carries a Post-it note, a driver's license, and a watch head with no band in his, like, you know, can't even spell drink. If he thought about a drink, he'd get drunk.
Right.
The straightest guy in the world, and kept all of us straight when we wasn't being straight at all.
Just talk to me about this, man. You got some amazing individuals in this picture, including my brother Jazzy Jeff, who's been a collaborator with Summit before, and also collaborated with Dante's Hi-Fi, whatever spot. What was
I'm trying
that?
to remember where this picture was from. Oh, wow. Yeah, that was a couple years back. All right. Oh, wait. Oh, right. I remember now. All right. So, first of all, this is amazing for... we talked about this a bit yesterday, right? Like, me being able to become friends with people you idolize, right? Like Stretch, like Rich, like RZA. You know, one of the most important people in my life, but also Jazzy Jeff. And I can say this now. He's not here, so I can go on about it, right? Because I try not to get into it too much when we're around each other. But Jeff is probably the sole reason why I do what I do. Live at Union Square, 1986, changed my life as I was 8, 9 years old. And my aunt buys me, normally I used to buy records because I was an aspiring DJ. Wherever she took me that day did not have records, they only had tapes. So she buys me 2 tapes, Nation of Millions and He's the DJ, I'm the Rapper. And the big thing about He's a DJ, I'm the Rapper was that it was like the first double rap album, right? And one was DJ focused, one was rhyme focused. So get back to her house. I'm living with my aunt for the summer. And we get to Jeff's live routine where he's cutting up Dance to the Drummer's Beat, Got to Be Real, and Apache. And it was at that moment that came on that I knew what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. Wow. You know, especially the Dance to the Drummer's Beat routine. I mean, all 3 routines were crazy, but when I heard that, I knew what I wanted to do. I said, I want to make music. I want to scratch records. You know, and every time I see him, I had to thank him for it, because if it wasn't for him, I would not be sitting here talking with y'all.
Another incredibly humble, amazing human being, DJ Jazzy Jeff. Talk about loving this music and loving this culture and doing things in front of the scene and behind the scenes to perpetuate the culture. What an incredible human being. And he had, a testament to that. You know, Jeff played Dante's Hi-Fi, and according to him, he hadn't played vinyl records in 20 years.
I remember that, yep.
And I'm normally sitting outside Dante's, but I was like, I want to sit inside. Jeff is playing, that's my man's. Get a table inside, I sit down. He puts his first record on. I don't remember what the first record was, but he puts his first record on. I have a video of this. And somebody's on a microphone. I was like, this Paz from De La Soul. I got my man Maceo with me. We got Tribe Called Quest in the building, Jerobi. Give it up for Jazzy Jeff. We didn't plan none of that. These dudes just heard he was coming and pulled up. Amazing, amazing experience, man. That guy has so much respect in this industry, well-earned respect. Yeah, no doubt. All right, we're gonna wrap it up, but let's do this real quick. So according to legend, Rich Medina, according to Bob, him and Crazy Legs pulled up at Palmer Club in Philly, and it was an ignition point for your DJ career. You want to talk a little bit about that?
So this is 95. I was DJing at a place in Philly called the Palmer Social Club. I was playing there on Saturday nights for about $75 and some well liquor. And
sportswear required.
Sportswear required, obviously. And Bob and Legs would come down to Philadelphia to visit me all the time from New York City. And this was them coming to celebrate me landing this Palmer gig. And Palmer Social Club was 3 floors. The first floor was like a lounge. Second floor was really straight ahead house music. And on the 3rd floor, I'm playing what we would now call like disco classics, your basic Paradise Garage or loft mindset of records. And we got back to my crib that night, and both of them were like, yo, man, why are you working for these people? You need to open your own club. There was 1,500 people in there last night, and 700 of them were squeezing into the 3rd floor.
Wow.
Why do you work for these people for peanuts? You should open your own place. You should call it Medina. I was like, nah, not gonna do that. And he was like, well, you don't need to be working for these people. You got something really special happening here. And if you don't want to open your own venue, I have a store. You know about my store in Manhattan. We should open a sister store in Philadelphia. We should call it Footwork Philadelphia. And you should partner with me on that.
I'm going to skip forward in the interest of time. Now that you're telling that story, I'm going to skip forward to that.
Yeah.
Footwork Philadelphia.
That was less than a year after that photo that we opened Footwork, and we were Philadelphia's hub We were a cultural hub. We sold Fat Laces, we sold records, we sold Eniche, 555 Soul, Echo Unlimited. We were the first mom and pop in the United States with a Nike account. And we were a bridge between Philadelphia hip hop and New York City hip hop. So we squashed beefs between graffiti writers that were moved from Philly to New York and became all city. Another guy moved from New York to Philly and became all city, and they hate each other because they all city in each other's city. So we were squashing beefs across the culture, from b-boys to graffiti writers to MCs to DJs. We were bridging gaps, and that 5 years that we were open really changed my life super drastically. And one funny way it changed my life, and I'll keep it brief, but this was during the time of Raucous Records, and Raucous Records was exploding, and the Black Star album, Mos Def and Kweli, comes out, and in the promo pressing, in the first pressing, the typo of my life happens in that album. When you open the Gatefold album, you see the Footwork logo, you know that we're affiliated, but in the management credit, it says Shaka Zulu and Rich Medina instead of Rich Mason.
Oh, wow.
How the fuck that happened? I have no idea. But for the next year and a half, people from all over the world are calling Footwork like, we would like to book Black Star. I'm like, call Raucous. But through that fallout of this affiliate, and the affiliation with them was real, whether it was through Bob directly and the shop, or through the New Eurekan Poets Cafe, or just the live performance circuit that was so fruitful up and down the Eastern Seaboard at the time. The relationship was real. But all of a sudden, people who had no grounds to speak to me at all were on my radar, or I was on their radar. And when they realized it was a mistake from the label and I didn't have anything to do with the label, then they're like, well, who the fuck is this guy? And how did that typo happen? And when they found out who I was, they started cutting me checks to do what I do.
Right.
So, every once in a while in your career, you have these beautiful mistakes.
Ultimate serendipity.
It's absolutely perfect. The most crazy mistake that could ever happen.
Yeah.
And it flips the funnel on your whole game.
You hadn't seen this presentation, but you led right into my next question, which was the power of place. What did New Eurekan Poets Cafe mean to the culture at the time when you and Bob were there, and I'm sure all y'all were involved in one way or the other?
I wasn't.
You didn't do nothing to do?
I mean, it was really, Miguel Algarin is a genius, a community activist, a community magnet, and he also had people like Rocky LaMontagne, who used to be a barker at the Village Gate. When he stopped being a barker at the Village Gate, he became a show host at the New Eurekan Poets Cafe. And the two primary shows that he did was Words and All That, both hip hop, poetry, and jazz showcases. And All That and Words, we also did those shows inside the Philadelphia Footwork shop. So again, bringing another another component of New York City coming to Philadelphia, and Philadelphia going to New York City in exchange, and building this bridge, because Philly and Jersey, we were always New York's funny looking stepsisters. But at least with regard to hip hop, I mean, when you talk about making records and studios, that's a different conversation. But culturally in the wild, B-boys, MCs, DJs, graffiti writers, it's New York first, and then everybody else is a distant second on paper. And, to be participatory in moments like that, I mean, we had Showbiz and AG and Mos Def and Kweli, the whole Raucous roster, all performing in our store. The fucking bathroom didn't even work in the store. When these guys are coming down to perform, almost, the days of the last bastions of the promo tour. You're in a van riding up and down the highway for nothing, trying to make sure that these radio stations and these DJs and these people are dealing with your records, or the label is doing what they're supposed to be doing. It's the last bastion of that aspect of the industry as we knew it.
Yeah.
And Bob drove that car.
Yeah, super dope. Another lead-in. Stretch. Talk about the impact of Bobbito Garcia on your life.
Yeah. That's a photograph by the Moroccan-British artist Hassan Hajjaj. Does anyone know who he is? He's great. Check him out. That's taken at Soul DXB, which is a annual weekend festival around. Started as like a sneaker hip hop thing. It's become a lot bigger than that, and every year we kind of make our pilgrimage to Dubai. For that, we become really good friends with the founders, and when we go, we're really treated nicely, and we have like an incredible weekend. The last time we were there, Wu-Tang performed, and just have an incredible memory of being in like the pit in front of the stage. I was standing next to Bobbito and Clark Kent. Actually, Bob and I introduced Wu-Tang, and then we hopped down to the front of the stage, and RZA stops the show in front of like 20,000 people and starts talking about me, Bob, and Clark standing right there, just thanking us for everything. And it was just a magical night. And you could see I'm not really trying to talk about this picture that much because it's doesn't really need to be viewed any longer than.
For the record, Bob set y'all
now.
up. For the record, Bob set y'all up. I got these images from Bob, all of them. Just so you know. I got these images from Bob, by the way. He's the one that set y'all up.
Well, Bob looks kind of cool. I mean, I look like I just came from like a psychedelic slumber party. Like, actually, I look like I woke up at Summit at Sea in a way. I've seen some wizards and the like
walking around here, mermaids and shit. Yeah,
dudes wearing silver outfits and low V paisley numbers. It's everything. It's amazing.
Yo, our time here is almost up. I got one more thing for you guys. So, man, it is really inspiring for me to be sitting up here with you guys, man. You don't know how much you guys mean to music, how much you've meant to me in my life. Music is a foundational element of my life. I think it's funny that after a career doing a bunch of other things, we end up full circle as partners, you and I, Rich, and Alan and Sven, who are, I'm sure, here somewhere, and Dave, integral part of this thing we call Dante's Hi-Fi. And so many moments, I used to post on my Instagram like, oh, last night at Dante's Hi-Fi was lit. I got tired of posting that because every night at Dante's Hi-Fi is lit. It's insane. I really mean that humbly. I say that humbly. And a few weeks ago was Miami Music Week. And on Sunday of Miami Music Week, we had amazing DJs, as we always do. But something happened on the terrace, which to me is the pinnacle of the experience of what we do and what we create. And it was this gentleman right here, my partner, my brother, Rich Medina, was playing outside on our terrace. Anybody who's been there knows we have a terrace outside. And he was playing with Louis Vega, who's also one of my favorite DJs in the world. Yeah. Shout out to Louis Vega. And this was the vibe that was happening that night outside. Yo, one of my favorite vibrations that we created at Dante's Hi-Fi. So my last question to you guys is, what does it feel like to be able to travel the world bringing joy and connection and happiness and freedom to people? Because when I see these people vibrating the way they are free, they are being themselves. It's, 21 to 80 out there sometimes. And it's a joyful celebration of everything music related. I want you to each just talk about that journey for you, what that feels like when you have the audience in the palm of your hands and they're loving what you're putting down for them.
I'll keep it brief. It's the most amazing feeling in the world. To be able to make a living doing something that you love is a blessing regardless of whatever it is, right? So for me, being able to play music, entertain people, and just share wherever my head is at in that moment, and share whatever space I'm in. which as we as DJs we know changes from day to day musically, right? Just be able to do that it's an amazing blessing, man.
No, it's beautiful. You watch people transform right in front of your eyes. You know what I'm saying? Who knows what they're going through in real life, but you take them to some place where they can just be free, and for a minute they forget all of that, and it's just joy and love. What a beautiful blessing to be able to do. Stretch, Rich.
For me, on those nights when everything is clicking, it feels like the closest thing to magic that I know. You have those moments where you kind of can't believe like how incredible everyone's feeling, and to be in the driver's seat of that is extra special. Not all nights are like that. Not all gigs are like that. But when it is like that, it's everything else kind of just. It's also the most in the present you can be. You're not thinking about anything except what's right in front of you, and that's always a good place to be. And we all know that we're more often than not in that place. So it's, I guess, in that sense, it's kind of therapeutic.
Yeah. Contextually, the video I just showed you, by the way, so Rich had already played a set and Louis had already played a set outside, and they decided spontaneously to go one record each for about 3 hours on the terrace. That's when that shit happened. The crowd went bonkers. Rich, if you could talk a little bit about that experience for you.
Those of us who love house music have been hearing for years that music is a universal language spoken and understood by all. It is one of the few true levels that any of us have experienced in our lives, whether you're invested in the music industry, whether you're a patron, whether you really find music to be a redeeming factor in your life with intent or not. There's a theme for everything. If you're happy, it's a theme song for that. If you're sad, it's a theme song for that. Rich, broke, cute, funny looking, heartbroken, heartbreaker, drunk, sober, agnostic, Pentecostal. We could go on and on. So to be able to put a room full of people, some of whom have never seen each other, never been anywhere near each other, never been to each other's personal space before, and put us all on the exact same page, in the exact same clothes, with the exact same emotion and desire to be here, and will to invite people who are missing it to say, you need some of this in your life. Is one of the most enormous blessings in my life, to be able to, it's a church with no steeple. It's where a lot of us come and find our religion. It's where a lot of us find God. That's where I do, aside from where he resides within me, myself. That's where I find it, with the headphones on and a room full of energy like this, looking to be impressed. So to be busting your ass in the dark to get your game together enough to get to a place like this, or opportunities like what we're talking about, to bring however many hundred or whatever number of people in the room as close to the same accord as people can get, is a blessing, is a privilege, it's a luxury that I don't think any of us take for granted, because people are like, yo, isn't it hard going on tour and all that travel? I'm like, yo, my man, prison is hard.
Oof. Preach.
Fuck out of here. Prison is hard, dog. Hunger is hard, my nigga. Relax.
Yeah. Yo, and I love the professionalism and craftsmanship with which you guys all do what you do. Last night, Rich, I don't know if you saw me. It was 3 a.m. You were Dante's. At one point, it had thinned a little bit. You were in your bag, bro. I was Shazamming you. I seen you played 100 times. I was Shazamming you at 3 a.m. like, what the fuck is this?
It's the recognition of the luxury to have this opportunity. Some people can only get inspired to have a fight if they hate their opponent, right? But if you're a martial artist, you're not fighting out of hatred. You're fighting because it's a discipline that you study and you've come to present to the world that you are indeed one of the best on the fucking planet at what you do. And I know my brothers and sisters that play the game, whatever your craft is, if you're an independent contractor and you're out here swinging an axe at something, trying to show the world who you are, you swing that axe pretty hard. You know, you step to the plate with, if it's 5 people in the room or 5,000 people in the room, one of them 5 people is an avenue to your next check, is an avenue to something that's going to help you and your family, or somebody that's going to put a battery in your back when you ain't really got your shit all the way together and you ain't on the front of the sled driving people to the right place. We all need a little help. So, you know, you can let your ego get in front of you if you want in an empty room. But it's too problema when that shit comes back and haunts your punk ass.
Wow. Well, gentlemen, the 3 of you are truly some of the greatest to ever do this. I am honored to share the stage with you. I can't wait to hear you perform the rest of this trip. I know there's stuff coming on today and tomorrow. Thank you for taking the time. Thank you for answering the questions. Thank you for appreciating this. And Summit, give it up. Stretch Armstrong, Rich Medina, Just Blaze.